Good day, everybody. My name is Iain Kennedy, a lawyer and an advocate by professional training, but at heart an historian and a geographer. My wife and I have been lucky to be at sea for about 20 years now, 15 of which I have been asked to contribute on cruise ships, with the Fred Olsen line, I think, to begin with, Marella, with Cunard, with Saga, and with Viking Ocean cruises. And what I do, I tend to specialise. I have 4 areas of specialism within my repertoire. Panama and Central America is the first section, then the Caribbean, then transatlantic, and then British home waters. I began on holiday with Kath, on vacation with Kath, going through the Panama Canal all those years ago, and became hooked by it. You can see from this first image the sheer scale. Look at those lock gates behind the gentleman on the ground. The economics, the power politics, and the loss of human life combined to make it a terrific story. Approximately 30,000 people died in the completion of the building of the Panama Canal. I also help out a bit there as well, because I'm allowed up from time to time, if I'm a good boy, onto the bridge to give a commentary as the ship transits the canal. Well worth it. If you haven't been, come with me. It is an absolute treat. I also give a talk about the Republic of Panama, quite bleakly and cynically created by the financiers on Wall Street. I also talk about the 6 republics between Panama and up to the Mexican border. Plenty of interest there, lots of revolution, counter-revolution, 200 active volcanoes, earthquakes and hurricanes abound. Now from there, as this second and very, very painful and poignant image shows, I move out into the Caribbean. 4 talks on the Caribbean. I begin as my university education began in Liverpool, and I talk about the masters of the transatlantic slave trade. I talk about the sugar barons of the West Indies. I talk about emancipation. And I've also added a new one, which is entitled The Stately Homes of England and the Stately Bankers Too. And it explains how £18 billion worth, $23 billion worth of compensation was spent on the slave owners to stop them becoming slave owners, whilst the slaves themselves got absolutely nothing. It's quite impossible to leave this utterly gorgeous part of the world, and Kath and I get there just as often as we possibly can, without visiting Cuba. Cuba bristles with wonderful possibilities and stories. Here, of course, in full rant is Fidel himself. I talk about the missile crisis, but I think my signature dish there is probably the mafia years. Cuba, the mafia years. By the summer of 1959, the mafia almost owned Cuba lock, stock and barrel under their puppet, the dictator Fulgencio Batista. Wonderful stuff. Plenty of Caribbean topics, plenty of interest there, and now out into the transatlantic talks. And out now into the mighty North Atlantic. My specialist topic there is undoubtedly the first 100 years or so of steam across the ocean, linking the old world to the new, beginning in 1838 with some pretty precarious looking side wheelers and that sort of ship, to what I really, really love, I really adore. Here's my favourite. This is the mighty, magnificent Mauretania, majestic and superb, the very, very pinnacle of Edwardian and Victorian engineering. Miles and miles of electric light when many people in the British Isles were labouring with gas and with oil lamps. A terrific story. And steaming across the Atlantic at a steady and stately 22 knots brings us very quickly to the British Isles. I beefed up my repertoire there because I was lucky at school, very, very fortunate. I had an inspiring history teacher, so the basic framework was always there. It was just a question of picking out various themes. And here's one. Here is the petulant Bonnie Prince Charlie doing his very best to restore the Stuarts to the throne of England, Wales, Ireland and Scotland. A great tale. In all now, I think I have in my repertoire 34 different titles. They can be expanded or contracted to 39. Whatever the cruise director thinks is apt and fit for the ship, indeed, I can change topics as we go along to blend in with the speaker. I also have 16 talks devoted to the British Isles themselves. If I can be of help, I would love to. Thank you.